I guess so. You know what? I've solved everything, so.
The remaining days passed by without much incident. I'd done all I could. At least, I hoped so. If there was anything left undone, it was too late to worry about it now. But with less than a day left until the turning, I figured it was time to just bunker down and wait. So it was a bit of a surprise when a visitor turned up on my doorstep.
Beethrow? Oi, Beethrow! Are you here?
Gribbles Prutkin, sweet mother of a spoostelfish, what are you doing here?
Hull Holder Bombus Gadden needs you back in Dugandy.
What? Why?
It's a bit complicated. We got your message, by the way. Kinda seemed like a lot of roach dung, but Gadden started vouching for it. And when those grey-faced Neethers turned up a couple of weeks ago, a lot more people started paying attention.
You didn't let anyone go with them, did you?
Not after what Bombus said. We smart masters might not have a lot of work at the moment, but we can see off a group of gobbing bullies like that.
So what's the problem? You're getting everyone safe for the turning, right?
Like I said, it's complicated. I'm just passing on the message. I was hoping to get to Blorn where my cousin lives before this turning thing, but it's a bit late now. Spent a week trying to find you.
I guess I'd best see what Bombus wants before it's too late.
Okay.
Don't you worry about our deadline. I know a shortcut. The RCS made short work of the trip back to Dugandy. Prutkin carried onwards to Blorn. Hopefully he'd get there in time. As it was, I wasn't exactly sure how much time was left when I finally got to the surface. Hours? Minutes? Couldn't say. But no point wasting what I had left. Dugandy was dark and deserted, with a heavy fog all around the mountain. It was strangely comforting in a way. It meant people had been paying attention. But where was Bombus? Why did he need me? He wasn't home. He wasn't in the guild hall either.
Also, not a lot of people there.
But when I got to the castle grounds, I couldn't help but groan in frustration. Every light was on. There were signs of activity everywhere. Castle Dugan was not deserted. Flaming Facundo, what's everyone doing in here? You should be underground by now.
Ah, Beethrow, I'm terribly glad to see you. You see...
Mudkin, you dare show yourself in my throne room after years of ignoring my summons? Don't think I have forgotten the awful job you did cleaning my dungeon.
You're still on about that? Like I told you before, I finished the job. But that really isn't important right now. Why aren't you all down in the cellars, or sewers, or even Gadden's old passage?
Ah, yes. I've been trying to convince our king of the wisdom of this endeavor, but he is a touch...
I won't have peasants steal away my subjects and take my castle and kingdom away from me. It's abundantly clear there's some aggressive force beneath, so I have brought the entire township within my castle where my guards can keep an eye on them.
I'm afraid he really does like being king.
Yeah, I guess that keeps the patrons out at least. But this place isn't safe. When the turning
There
happened...
will be no turning in the throne room unless I say so.
Look, most of these buildings were made to stand upright. That's what foundations are for. But they weren't designed to last when upside down. That's why the Empire built holds. So we need to get every...
What was that?
The turning. It's starting.
I don't see anything flying up into the sky.
It'll take several minutes to finish. We've got maybe half an hour where you'll just feel lighter and lighter. After that, you better hope there's a nice strong ceiling above you. But we're out of time. We need to get underground now.
I see.
Please, Gadden. We need to move. I can't talk to Dugan like you can.
I suppose there is one thing I can try. Your Highness, the Smite Masters Guild has a proposition for you.
I am listening, Hall Holder.
We have previously expressed our sympathies with regard to the contracted clearing of your dungeon. We agree with you that Smite Master Beethrow Budkin has performed a substandard job.
Wait, what are you...
I therefore submit that in view of your dissatisfaction with the work, we shall undertake it again. For free, of course.
Bombus!
And how am I to know that my dungeon will be cleaned properly this time?
Naturally, you would inspect the work yourself. In fact, the Smite Masters Guild would like to offer everyone the chance to see a Smite Master at work.
I don't know.
Should you accept, we will be happy to throw in free bi-yearly clearings of your dungeon as a bonus.
Does that mean every 2 years or twice?
An acceptable
saw that line.
proposition. You can begin at once. Guard, prepare an escort to the old dungeon and unbolt the doors. We'll see how good a job you do this time, Buttkin.
Dun dun dun.
Please accept my apologies, Bethro, but we really were pressed for time there. And
Save it, Gatton. I understand. I don't like it, but it worked, and that's what's important.
the king and the rest of the townsfolk will be along shortly. You should proceed when ready.
I just hope it hasn't changed much. We shouldn't need to delve too deep to be safe, but I'd like to reach the second level at the very least.
Good luck, Bethro.
Thanks.
Final chapter.
Yikes. Things have changed. Hey, wait a sec.
Oh, that's handy.
Here he comes!
All right, people. Seems I have a show to put on, and I don't got all day. Follow me.
It's time to wake up, Ironk.
Brother, I was dreaming of you.
I know. I could feel it.
It was such a good dream. It's good to see you.
You must be tired, sister. I'm sorry you were woken early.
The man with the sword?
Yes. Would you believe that astounding little man killed me? And yet he saved me.
Oh, is he going to die now?
I have no idea. It feels wonderful. No idea. I've never been so unsure.
I'm glad you found a way to be surprised, brother. Knowing all there is to know always chafed you. But I'm going to turn now. It's going to feel so good.
Sleep well, sister. You have no idea how much I've missed you.
Crazy as it had seemed, our plan had worked. Just as old Pit Thing had predicted, a tough question had caused the vessels to overflow. The vessels had spread across the 8th, and most everyone saw our message. Half and I had managed to put a stop to most of the patrons' nefarious schemes. Pretty much everyone on the surface made it safely underground. Now, we must make a new beginning.
Hey, I just broke through! Come quick! Sunlight!
Our new home.
And there we have it. So many good questions answered. So many secrets left unconquered. All the cards play this time. But by the way, I find it hilarious that Shit was complaining about constructs, and his avatar in the credits is a construct. Fun fact, the Construct's official theme song is Chumbawamba's Tub Thumping, I Get Knocked Down. So I guess I can kind of go through, I'm going to kind of use this as a little bit of a postmortem and kind of chat a little bit about some of the levels. I'm basically pulling up a level list so I can talk about it over the credits and kind of make it quasi-interesting for you guys. Oh, there it is. So levels I really liked. Stuck with a really bait stick was actually, surprisingly interesting, I will say. The stitch was a the stitch was a really interesting good element to start off with. Minus the Gentry Eye, but they're still kind of annoying, and I really don't look forward to Gentry Downs. Oh, what else were you doing? I love how Somewhere Under the Ocean was really the only time we saw engineers. Unless I'm mistaken, one of you guys might be able to correct me on it, but that was really only the good case of engineers, which I guess I'm okay with. There were a lot of builders weren't very fun in TCB. What else are we looking at? Okay, I haven't finished Hardest Way yet, but the easy way, hard way, stuff like that is actually an interesting idea. I enjoyed it. I will say that. What else are we doing? Oh, some of them I may not have seen then. What else are we at? Seeding grounds. I felt like the seeding beacons weren't really used that much, especially after this level. It did take me doing secrets to realize that this whole level had built-in mini-map in it, which made it really handy for finding secrets. For an underpass, someone on YouTube, I can't remember her name, I'd have to look it up, laughed at me for the one with the trapdoors, which I guess would be 2 east. I really overplanned that. What else are we looking at? I need to find some other... Shattered Mine. I stand by. I'm not a fan of that level. I will go through it again, and I will probably still dislike it as much, and I can't pin down why. Backtracking issues was kind of one of my problems I had with it. Just the funky movement of the pickaxe and the and keg movement and stuff like that. Like you saw when I was doing King Dugan's dungeon and stuff like that, I was still having issues with it. Like it's brutal. Yeah, I still had issues with that. All of the Woodland Blade was interesting, and I'm kind of sad that the dagger. All the various temporal token levels. You know what? Once I figured it's a really steep learning curve with those things, I have to say. It did get to a point where it was frustrating to deal with them at the start. In Ruins, it was brutal. By the time you got to Sanctum, you started to figure out, and especially too with the difference between Ruins and Sanctum was like easy and hard, where you kind of have a general idea of how the puzzles worked. That one worked out fairly well. Going in, like, even Temporal Anomaly. I didn't mind that level as much as I thought I would. I expected that to be much worse. I have the Storm, I still have, like, secrets there, and those are probably the worst rooms in the level, so I really shouldn't say anything quite yet. Experiment of Ages was a level that I completed. Yeah. I really don't have much to say on that. The puzzles with the crystals were interesting, but I felt like it never really... And the crystals were kind of one of those things, you see it with the rematch with A1, and that's kind of about it. I'm just kind of going through the list, by the way, in order on the forums, because that's the easiest way for me to look at. Caber testing area, kind of interesting. You know what? Caber, I think, is definitely the best of the new weapons, shall we say. I think that's valid to remark. I guess I always look in the store too. Where was I here? Lemming Beach, another level, kind of really good puzzles. The one that will always get talked about is this guy right here. Generally good. There's a couple. I think again, it's the kind of unfortunate thing with some of these custom-coded enemies is that you get a lot of really interesting puzzle potential, but you never really see them pass their level. It's kind of what you had with Eye of the Storm, and I think they make up for it with having a lot of levels in there. Doesn't necessarily mean that you get the best experience of it. Unless there's more in post, but I'm kind of doubting it. I would like to see them release the strips for it and allow for some kind of more official holds with them, but we shall see. Arcane Laboratory. Fane's favorite level. It's short. There's some neat rooms. Twice North, One East. That was one of the better rooms since I figured it out. It takes a lot of talent and stuff like that. This room I still have no idea how I solved, I can't tell you again. This room was wonky. This room again was fairly easy to solve, it was fairly straightforward. This one I was just an idiot on. Those red doors were just entirely there for red herrings. So, don't really say much there. This arcade room was kind of neat. What else are we on? All the Storching path going into, security gates and stuff like that happened really quickly. Storching path was a very quick level. The puzzle here was kind of an interesting idea. Again, that's where they kind of talked about interaction of tar in there. with spheres and stuff like that, and that was kind of interesting to learn, but minus the tar recycling units, which I know exist and I need to find. Not that interesting. Fire Hotlands. It's a level. And that's about the best I can say there. Again, it just there wasn't a lot memorable with it. The fire traps, interesting idea, and he was swordless, but overhead object. Oh no, it was a nice touch. Frozen wood is getting into an optional level. Again, the one thing I have to say I did kind of enjoy about TSS is that they did a lot of take the same puzzle and either change it just a little bit or change the weapon that you use it, and I had to change a couple things slightly obviously because of that. And it felt nice because it added a level of difficulty to it without having to refigure out puzzles. So that was certainly interesting. Security gates. It's the first time I really dealt with constructs, and constructs ended up being an element I really liked at the end, and I didn't think I would. We'll get to it, but the construct warehouses were probably my favorite levels, especially in that post-game part specifically. Living walls. I failed at it once and I figured it out. It does make sense. I think the people who are complaining that it's not clear on it. The security gate there. Oh, geez, what did I do? No, that's not what I want. I did not want to restore. For the save. Okay. There we go. I just have to do that. Okay, going back. Living walls are interesting. The security gate there was definitely my favorite character of the game. Plus, I could hear you talking back there. Oh, security gate. Nethelcamp Pharaohs. That was a hell of a plot twist. Very weird. Like I say, obviously this was planned from the start. And then the end revelation. Kind of. It's interesting. I mean, the 8th is a very weird world. There's still a lot of questions I have with it. I think a lot of people still have questions with it. I'd love to get Eric in for a postmortem discussion. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I really should shoot him off an email, because it would be nice to get him to talk about it, especially now that we've got 25 people who kind of know the full plot of the thing now. But we shall see. Rapid Fortification. The only level I really didn't like was... where was it? This guy right here, the pressure plates. That one just felt a little too... kind of felt like it just depended on luck a little too much. So, there's always that. Patronage, you find out the plan, DA headquarters, Teaming with Tendry was interesting. Really kind of an underused level though. I mean, you meet up with him. You're solving this one essentially by yourself. Tendry does nothing there. By this point in time, you're Tendry, you're off solving your things. You don't necessarily need to be Tendry for that. I mean, it was an interesting touch. It gave him a chance to break through, and how they were able to put the things like being able to hop over single pits and stuff like that. It's an interesting ability. Again, you can definitely tell that this is the last version of DROD they're gonna make. Once you get into the purples, levels and stuff like that, when you see darts, ray guns, the fact that they only really added a couple elements, but added a bunch of scriptable elements to kind of show that you can create your own enemies now if you want. I don't see any reason to make another game after this, and like Mike said, Bithro's story has been told. I think it is time for him to move on. I understand that, and I fully respect him. Hardest way, stuff to do. Ugh. I love Picross puzzles, so I was really happy to see them. I don't know about anyone else. That's all I can say there. Artie is a fantastic character, by the way. I won't say anything from that. Or Refinery, I still see that in my nightmares, I'm not gonna lie. And I fully blame Larry for this. Larry, I know you're watching this. I still shake my fist at Or Refinery. I think my only issue with it's a bunch of really small, clever, contained puzzles. I just felt it was almost too big of a level. And yeah, having to swap between having a sword, not having a sword. You might as well have almost made that level entirely swordless. Because I feel like it would have been less jarring. I mean, I guess there probably would have been some secrets you would have missed out on, but would have been interesting just to get a stick for a couple instead. That's really all I have to say for that. Red Team Below is kind of a weird 3-room level that deals with fluff a little bit and wasn't too bad. On Dawdling River, I never did this one on stream, but man, was it easy. Like really easy. I was happy. There wasn't really a ton of challenge to it. It was just kind of a nice break level. The dagger appeared a couple times here too, which was nice. It was another dagger level, which was happy. I'm definitely fine with that. So, More Fluff was a level that was way scarier than it looked. Or sorry, less scary than it looked, I should say. So there's that. This room was, as Doom I think had pointed out, was in the forums. This was the one room that made Unlimited undo. If I didn't have it on, I would have turned it on then. Empty Space was a nice level. This puzzle, really good. Stumped me for a while. Otherwise, a nice little quick level. Save Our Surfacers is kind of a nice little. Again, the thing I like about this is that there's a lot of interesting puzzle ideas for people, or just to even take something like this on a larger scale. This was more lemmings than I expected. Mother of All Roaches was a level that exists, and I love how weird it looks when it's not fully rendered. This room is weird. Again, it requires really wonky pathing, so I think that was my issue with it. And I imagine there's 2 rooms up north, so I can't say much about that. Endless Defense, Tower Defense and Draw kind of worked a little weird. I could definitely see people turning this idea, and so you didn't really need either a clone potion or a speed potion for this. If there was another version that had more waves in it, I could definitely see that being used. And then Construct Warehouses actually ended up being a lot more fun than I thought. Same with King Dugan's first level. The moving things there were kind of funny, actually. I sure as heck can say I wasn't expecting that. Yeah. And then getting into some of these levels, I've taken a quick look, as you can see, on some of them, but nothing overly major, so. And I have a lot of challenges I haven't done. So yeah. I think with that I'm gonna stop though. My streaming will probably end up being a little more infrequent now that I've solved the game. I will still stream whenever I work on, because I still have a lot of optional levels and stuff like that to work on. But once again, big shout out to everyone who supported my streaming and stuff like that. Larry, Fang, Destech isn't here, Nuntar's definitely a big person who was a fan of watching me. Everyone out there on YouTube who's been watching, TF Murphy for giving hints and stuff like that. Shaco too, although his hints are occasionally wrong, they were still nice. Gave people just such. Yeah, thanks again everyone, it's been greatly appreciated. It's been fun doing this. I believe it took me something stupid like, I need to take a look, and now I'm going to do it just for the hell of it. It took me a long time after the game was done to, after the game was finished to beat, the City Beneath. And that was nothing compared to this. And I think just streaming and talking to you guys while doing it definitely made it more interesting, so I thank you guys for watching. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I'll continue doing it in some form or another, and like I say, even once I post master and stuff like that, I'll probably find a way to continue streaming, so, because I do enjoy it. Still lowest point. There's no high scores for that. Yeah, June 10th was when I started doing levels in, exactly, yeah, I'll be doing user-made holds afterwards, so. Yeah, so it was about 2 months after the game came out, June 10th or so, when I beat, the City Beneath, so. Definitely have gotten better as a DROD player, which makes me happy, so. Anyway, thanks again for watching. I will catch you in chat, but take it easy.